Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. Welcome to one of the last videos I'll be doing in this series. We're going to do a little bit of weathering today. Um, I was waiting on a bunch of parts still. Obviously I still have my poor man's motherboard that I built, but I can't put this on until I get the hardware and screws to put the Alice frame on, which I'm waiting on. And I'm also waiting on my iron arm from GB Fans, so I can't do that yet. I'm also waiting on Big Red Danger sticker to put on this. And then I do have more screws, more movie Acro screws I'm going to be putting in the motherboard, but I can't do that until this is secure to the pack. So, the only thing that's left that I can do is weathering right now. So I've been thinking about how I'm going to show you guys how I do the weathering, and I'm obviously not going to sit here and just film me doing it because it's very tedious. I don't want to have to try to walk through what I'm doing as I'm doing it as well, because I really want it to be good. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you guys a few tips on a few things and just show you how I do it. And if it's something that looks good to you or something you want to do to your pack, give it a shot. So yeah, I mean, it's very simple. I basically do, three or four different things depending on how I want it to look. What I'm trying to do with my pack is I'm trying to give it that lightly used look. Like I definitely want some dirt. I definitely want some grit. Definitely want a little bit of scratching here and there where you can see the silver scratching. We call it dry brushing. But nothing too major. I want a little bit of rust on the bolts, but again, not drenched in rust. Like just a tad bit of rust here and there, a little bit of dirt, a little bit of grud. Like I said, I want to knock down some of the shiny parts. Like you see how shiny the clippered valve is and everything, and the billow here. I want all that shininess to go away. I want it to look dull. I want it to look like it's been used for a little bit. I don't want it to look as bad as it does in the Gozer scene at the last scene when they're fighting Gozer on the rooftop. I don't want it that bad, but even in the first scenes where they're fighting Slimer, they're trying to catch Slimer, they're not perfect. There's still some, so I'm trying to get like an in-between look. Nothing really in particular. So I'm just going to get to work on it. And the thing about weathering is you can weather the whole pack, take a look at it and be like, you know what, I can go a little further. Or you can say I want way too much. But my rule of thumb with everything I do is do a little bit at a time and just build your way up. That way you don't ever go too far with anything. And you should be good to go. So yeah, that's my plan, and I'm gonna get to work on this. I have Ghostbusters playing, obviously, so I'll have that on while I do this. And yeah, I will just kind of give you an idea of what I'm doing here and there, and show you what it looks like. And yeah, all right guys, let's get into it. All right guys, so right now I'm adding a little bit of rust to these real bolts here, and I just want to show you, they're not done yet, but let me show you kind of what I'm doing here. I got this Tester's paint. It's just, the color is called rust. It's literally just called rust. What I do is I take barely any on my brush, get just the tiniest little bit on my brush, and then I wipe most of it away on the napkin, because you barely want any on there, unless you want like crazy rust. But I just want a little bit on here. So then you brush it on. This is basically called dry brushing, because you're basically making the brush dry before you actually apply it. All right, so something like that. Now this doesn't look real yet, but once I do this little trick that I do, sorry guys, I'm trying to do this with one hand here. And you don't want anything to be even, because this is supposed to be natural, right? So that's the hardest part about weathering things, is trying to make things look random. So I feel like I got a little bit too much on there, so I'm just gonna quickly take some off. All right, so that's my first base right there to making those bolts look rusty. Now what I do is I actually take one of these pastel, this is for painting, the soft pastels. And what I do is I scrape some of it off of it onto a napkin. And then I take my brush. Then I just take my brush, dip it in like that. And then just tap it onto the rust. And depending on how much rust look you want, you can take some of it back off. Try this one. What do you think it was? Well, if I knew what it was, I wouldn't be here. You gotta leave. Telling the truth. Sorry guys, I keep hitting the damn button on my phone here. So this kind of covers up the rust, but also gives it a more, like a more real look. If you can tell. And that's kind of how I want them to look. I just want a little bit of rust on them, kind of to bring them to life. I haven't done this one yet here. But again, if you want it to look way more rusty, just use a lot more of that and less of this. But this is a good way to cover up. And then also, I also like how it gives it texture. And that's what really makes it look more real. Now, when I do my weathering on stuff, I don't mind, like everything I'm gonna do this pack, like is gonna come off when you touch it. Like, I don't mind that because, I mean, obviously this won't. This dries and that's on there for good. But all this pastel work that I do, I also use some black hairspray as well. And that is really great for covering up anything shiny that you don't want shiny anymore. Like I'm gonna use that to dull all the shiny parts and stuff. And yeah, it will. I mean, if I after I do it, I go and rub it like this with my fingers, it's definitely gonna come off on my fingers. But that's what real grud and real dirt would do anyways, right? So that doesn't bother me one bit. That's actually how I did my afterlife over there. I don't know why my light is off. But that's how I did my afterlife over there. If you touch that car, if you rub it, you know, just a little bit hard, like all that's gonna come off. That's why it looks so real, because it's not paint. I did use some paint, but everything on top of it, that's why it looks like real dirt and real dust, because I used the pastels here. And same with all the rust that I did on that. That's why the rust looks so real. I'm using this technique right here for that. So anyways, guys, again, this is really hard to show you as I do it. To be able to see what I'm doing here. But yeah, that's the look I'm going for. Again, I'm not going for afterlife. I'm going for, you know, 84 used, you know, lightly used. So yeah, so that's one thing I'm doing. I'm gonna go around, I'm gonna do this to I'm gonna do this to all the bolts, but obviously a little heavier on some, a little lighter on some to keep it more real looking, you know. You don't want everyone to look the same. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's how I do my rust on my bolts, and let me finish the pack with those. All right, guys, so now I'm gonna do this screw along with the clamp here. I just wanna get a little bit of grud up in here, maybe slightly, a little bit of like rust looking, and then obviously a little bit of rust and grit on this bolt here. But again, very, very subtle. So again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dip just a little bit in here, get just a little bit on my brush, wipe most of it off. Then go ahead and apply it where you want it. And then while it's still wet is when you want to put the black pastel over it. That way it really soaks it up. And then it doesn't come off on your hands. It really, guys, this little bit of weathering, this is what makes this is what really brings everything to life, let me tell you. When you can do this correctly, if you think you have too much, just go ahead and wipe it off real quick. Now I need a little bit more pastels here, so I'm just going to scrape some off. All right. So that's what I got so far. You can see how I got the rust around the bolt here, a little bit of grud coming up in here, grud down in there. Just that little bit, guys, that tiny little bit. In person, it just makes when you do that tiny little bit throughout the whole pack, it really makes this thing look real, like 100% real. I'm gonna be weathering everything, even the labels, put a little bit of weathering in the labels. Again, the slightest bit, guys, just the slightest bit, like I did with these bolts here. That really brings those bolts to life. I'm like I'm doing it here. So I did do it on all the bolts. Just a little bit of rust. Like that. I did it to all the bolts all around. But yeah, guys, just a very, very little bit at a time. And then if you look back, if you get done, just take a step back, look at it. If you think you need more, then just go ahead and do more. But it's definitely easy to overdo it. It is super, super easy to overdo weathering. So depending on the look that you want, start off very, very little like I am. And then, like I said, if you take a step back, look at everything, and it doesn't look right to you, or you want it to be a lot more weathered, just go back in and do it again, and just do double of what you did before or whatever. But I'm telling you, the littlest bit makes the biggest difference. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue doing this. Let me show you guys real quick on how I dull this up a little bit here. Now I got just a little bit of black hairspray, just regular black hairspray here. But you can use black. Another way I like to do this is just spray some black paint. You either use spray paint or any other really type of paint, and you do the same type of thing. You put your brush in it, and you want your brush to be almost completely dry, and then rub it on there and smudge it on there and stuff. But what I like to do is I like to take the hairspray like that. I need another brush. Then I dip it in the hairspray. Again, make it dry. And just rub it on. You see how that's dulling it up? I don't know if that's coming across as much on video here, but if you can tell on the top part, it's really not showing on camera. but it's starting to really dull up that top part of the clipper valve there. So I'm going to do that throughout the whole thing. I mean the whole clipper valve, and in any other parts that I really want. Oops. Which one am I using here? Any other parts that I really want to be dulled up. Like that. That looks better. But yeah, and it dulls it up a little bit. Also gives it just a little bit of dirt look, a little bit of grud on there. All right, so hopefully you can tell the difference on the clipper. How it really dulled it up and gave it this grummy look, like there's, you know, crud or whatever on it. Just enough to make it look not new and used. And that's definitely what I'm going for, just like that. And then I'll go ahead and do it to this label here. You want to do it kind of as random as possible. See how that looks now? And the good thing about using hairspray is if it's a little too much, if you think it's a little too much in some spots, you can get most of it back off. But you have to really like try to get it off. Like you got to put pressure on there. So it's like the perfect amount. It'll stay on there if you don't rub hard to get it off. So there, that's just a little bit of dirt and crud on your pack, and it just looks like it's been used. It looks like, oh wow, like this is a real Proton pack, you know? So I'm gonna go around and do that to everything. I'm gonna do that to all the fittings, the hoses, the cable. I'm gonna do it to everything. Anything I think that needs a little bit of crud look on it, I'm gonna go ahead and do that too, and just kind of dirty this thing up a little bit. Again, like I said, I do it to anything that I want to dull up. Either dull it up so it doesn't shine as much, or just if you want to make it look a little, like I'm putting some here on the hose just to make it a little less shiny. And then again, you can rub it in if it looks like too much or whatever. But now you can see there's a little bit of dirt. You get this one compared to this one. Sorry if this ain't showing up on video, guys. I'm basically just putting a little bit of crud on everything. Just so nothing looks brand new, that's all. Just enough to where nothing looks brand new. So you see that crud on that brass fitting there? I wish there was, I can't get it in the light, but there, you see that? Doesn't that look good? Just some of that little bit of black stuff on there. Again, I'm not going for super weathered like we did with the Afterlife pack. So anywhere I feel like it's slightly too much, I just rub it off. Again, it doesn't come off super easy, but it comes off. Like, again, it's like the perfect amount. There we go, I'm happy with that. All right, I'm gonna continue this. Sorry guys, like I said, it's really hard to show you while I'm doing this, but I'm doing the best I can. Got some crud on, on this elbow here. and this whole hose up to that brass fitting. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. All right, guys, so I got most of all the dirtying up that I want to do done with the pack. I got all the dark, the black hairspray done. Did some work with the rust on all the bolts and everything. Again, very subtle with everything. Last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do some silver dry brush. Now this is where you get like the scrapes, the cuts on the pack, like on the edges where like maybe it rubbed on something and you see a little bit of silver. Obviously there was a lot more of this on the Afterlife version. On this version, again, it's gonna be very subtle, but there's definitely spots that I wanna put this on. So let me just try to show you guys the best I can real quick on how I do this. All right, guys, so I'm using a heavy body acrylic. You can pretty much use any type of like silver as paint or whatever. But what I do is I dip this, put a little bit down on the napkin. You don't need much, or at least you don't need much at a time. Hey, puppy. Then you take your brush. Actually, I'm going to grab another brush. All right, guys, so what I do with this silver dry brush is I just get a tiny little bit on the brush, and then I rub rub most of it off on the napkin. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm just getting a little bit on the brush, wiping most of it off. Then I'm just slightly rubbing the edge, the very edge of this. I know you can't see what I'm doing right now, but you will in a second. And by doing that, you create this little edge, like that's all scraped up there. Like that's been, the edge of this cylinder's been rubbing against something. See that? And it really makes it look, it just makes it look more real, like 100%. Makes the pack looks more, it makes it look more real. It brings it more to life. And that's what I'm gonna do a little bit throughout the entire pack. Just a little bit of that, not a lot, nothing like it was on Afterlife. But yeah, just a little bit of dry brushing with the silver here to look like that. All right, guys, so I'm about 99% done with all my weathering. Obviously, I still have to put on the Alice frame and the motherboard, and I will be I will be weathering those as well once they are on. But I'm still waiting for my hardware. I'm also still waiting for my ion arm, unfortunately, from GB fans. So once I get my ion arm and my hardware for my Alice frame, I'll make another video of putting all this together, and you'll get the final full reveal. But for now, I'll share with you what I have with the weathering. And yeah, guys, this thing looks legit now. It looks real. It does not look like a plastic Proton pack. At least I don't think so, especially not in person. It definitely isn't gonna come across on camera like I wish it would, but that's always the case. So anyways, I'll show you what I got so far. So this is what I got so far, guys, after I'm almost all done with my weathering. Definitely does not look like a plastic toy anymore. And as you can tell, I did my dry brushing along a bunch of the edges here. And that really brings out the realism. It definitely makes it look way less plasticky. You got some here, got some here. I mean, it doesn't look like plastic anymore, guys. I dirtied up every piece, almost every single piece is dirtied up. This looks almost corroded now. It doesn't look like a brand new washer around here. You know, I dirtied up everything. The resistor, the screws, all the screws have a little bit of rust on them. Just a little bit to give it that realism. can see the grud and dirt that I put on the ribbon cable clamp here, on the ribbon cable itself. Just a little bit, guys. I dulled out all the real shiny pieces, so now this is clipper valves all dirtied up. And again, guys, the camera is not doing this justice at all, like always. But I got dirt on the labels, got some scratches all over there. Like I said, basically a little bit of dirt everywhere on all the brass fittings there. You can tell how I weathered that. You see the screws, how I put just a little bit of rust on the screws to kind of give it that look. I did that with almost every screw, but I did it, you know, like this. I dulled this clipper valve a lot, so it's not super shiny anymore. Again, have a little bit of dirt on every single label. Just wanted to make this look like it's been used, that's all. Not super heavily used, but it's definitely been used a few times. Obviously have my dry brushing around the in filter. I dry brush silver inside this crate on the inside here, because that's what it's supposed to be. They're not supposed to be black like it comes stock. Obviously, I did all the screws. Just a little bit of dirt, a little bit of rust. Nothing major. Did the ones on the bottom here. This camera brightens everything up a little bit. And that's kind of what stinks, is it takes the picture and brightens it way up so you can see better. But in this case, that doesn't help me at all, because you're not really seeing the contrast so much. But yeah, guys, this is it's what I got so far. And again, in person, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable in person. Can't wait to get my real iron arm on and weather that. That's really gonna help. Like I said, I still have a little bit more to do. I got a little bit more, very little bit weathering to do. This is pretty much it. But again, once I get my motherboard on and the Alice frame, I'm going to be doing those as well. So that's it, guys. I think I'm going to be doing one more video. Well, no, I'm going to show you how I put on my Alice frame, and I'll probably have two more videos on this series. So yeah, guys, we are at the end. We are getting there, definitely. This pack looks real. It looks like it's been used. It looks like it's straight out of the movie. It feels real. It's heavy. And yeah, I can't wait to wear this for the first time. But yeah, in person, guys, this just, God, it looks so much better in person. I wish video would do it justice. I wish video, you could see what the naked eye sees. I really do. But at least you get a little bit. At least you get a little idea. Hopefully it comes across better than I think it does. But yeah, it's dude, it looks awesome. It looks awesome. All right, guys. So sorry that I couldn't really show you as I was weathering it. I knew that was going to be really hard for me to do. So I just wanted to kind of give you a few tricks like that, a few tricks of what I do to weather it. Again, you know, check out some other videos. I'm not a great weatherer or whatever. Like, a lot of people do it different ways than I do. Like I said, I'm all about realism. So the things that I use, the pastels, the hairspray and everything, like this is stuff that looks in the real world real. Like it looks like real dirt, real grit or whatever, like, because it actually has texture. When you paint something, it's just paint, and yeah, it won't come off on your hands or anything when you touch it or this and that, but like you can tell it's not real, you know. It looks real in pictures and video, but in person it doesn't look real to me. So I try to do my weathering where it looks like it's real stuff on the pack, and when you rub it and you rub it hard enough, like it's gonna come off on you because it's real, right? So anyways, that's my spiel on that. But just the way I do it, I do things differently, I know, and I don't mind that. So I think in person it just makes it look so much better. And man, this thing is looking real. That's all I can say. All right, guys. Until next time, my next video will be the Alice frame and the motherboard, putting those on, putting more real screws into the motherboard, and then I will have one last, and then after I weather all that to have it match the pack, I will have one more reveal video for you guys, and we will call it a day with the Hasbro Mods series. So I can't stop looking at it, guys. It looks so good to me. God, I wish I had my iron arm. Okay, take care, guys. Keep busting, keep modding. I will check with you guys later. Thanks. Bye.